It is not a coincidence that you are here. You may not fully understand it yet, but your soul does. Something deep within you pulled you to this exact moment, and it wasn't by accident. It wasn't a mistake or a random twist of fate. You were guided here because what is coming your way is far greater, far more beautiful, and far more transformative than anything you have ever imagined for yourself. Even if today your vision feels blurred, even if doubt surrounds you, and the weight of exhaustion feels heavier than hope, I want you to know this is not the end of your story. You are standing in an invisible curve of your path, right at that mysterious bend where life quietly begins to shift direction, guiding you towards something brighter. Carl Jung often said that the most powerful transformations begin in the quietest moments. And if lately you felt something stirring inside you, if you sense that your soul is preparing itself for something new, then listen closely. You are not losing control. You are not moving backward. You are being prepared. And what is approaching is more extraordinary than anything your mind has ever dared to picture. But before a new chapter appears, life tends to send subtle messages, spiritual signals, emotional shifts, invisible to the logical mind, but unmistakably clear to the soul. And if any of these signs have been showing up for you, it's because something big is already moving toward your life. Perhaps you felt unusually tired lately, as if something inside you is exhausted from trying, fighting, resisting, forcing. And even if on the surface it looks like defeat, it isn't. This is the very first sign that you are releasing, letting go of what no longer belongs to you, shedding the weight of what you once believed you needed in order to feel worthy. It's as if a part of you whispers, "I can't keep doing this anymore." But that voice is not born from fear. It comes from a wiser part of you, one that understands that peace is never born from control, but from trust. Carl Jung taught that what we deny controls us, but what we accept transforms us. And when you begin to surrender, you are not losing. You're opening yourself to the truth that there is a plan bigger than you, one you may not be able to control, but one you can deeply feel. This surrender is not weakness. It is spiritual maturity. It is the moment when you stop pushing on closed doors and begin allowing yourself to flow toward the ones that open effortlessly, even if you don't yet know where they lead. Maybe you've stopped insisting on certain relationships. Maybe you no longer feel the need to constantly justify yourself. Maybe you've caught yourself saying, "I won't force anything anymore." And that right there, this quiet shift, is growth. It is preparation. Because what is meant for you does not arrive because you chase it. It arrives because you align with it, because you create space within yourself for the unexpected to enter your life without obstacles. This inner surrender is not the end of your path. It is the threshold, the silent doorway through which the new, the authentic, the soul-aligned begins to enter. So if lately you've felt something inside you stop fighting, celebrate it. You are making room. And when there is room, life begins to whisper secrets about what's coming and about who you are becoming. Maybe you've noticed it in the smallest details. That place you once returned to for comfort no longer feels the same. That goal you spent years believing was essential suddenly feels hollow. And it's not that you've lost your way. It's that you're rediscovering yourself. You are no longer allowing the external world to sculpt you. You are beginning to return home, to yourself. It's as if something deep inside is saying, "I no longer need to prove anything." And instead of chasing achievements, you begin to treasure peace, calm, authenticity. Carl Jung spoke of the individuation process, a profound stage of the soul where you begin to release the masks you once carried and reconcile with your inner truth. And this process often begins with a very clear sensation: the disconnection from who you thought you were. This is not a loss, it is a silent purification that separates what was imposed on you from what genuinely resonates with your essence. Suddenly, you find yourself drawn to silence. You feel less willing to please everyone. You are more attracted to the simple, the sincere, the things that don't need embellishment to feel real. Old ambitions don't disappear out of whim. They dissolve because you no longer need them to feel valuable. What remains is the authentic you. Some people may not understand this shift. Some may judge you. Others may drift away. But that too is a sign. Life is removing what is not aligned so that you can recognize what is. When you begin to value your peace more than your image, when you choose truth even when it is uncomfortable, when you barely recognize the older versions of yourself, it means you are growing. And that growth, even though it happens quietly, is the seed of the new reality coming toward you. Because what is meant for you cannot be built upon who you used to be. It can only come to the version of you that is awake, honest, open, and ready to receive what you truly deserve. It is not a loud thought. It is not a logical argument that convinces you. It is something subtler, a sensation, a persistent intuition that whispers, this way, yes, this way, no. And the most surprising part is that this voice has always been there. It is only now that you are beginning to hear it clearly because the noise of the outside world no longer overpowers it, because the opinions of others no longer dictate your direction, because your soul is finally becoming louder than any external argument. That inner voice doesn't shout at you, it doesn't push you, it simply knows. It knows what you need to release. It knows what brings peace to your heart. It knows exactly which paths you should never walk again. Carl Jung called it the wise unconscious, that hidden part of you that stores everything your mind has not yet been able to recognize, but that resonates with what is already true for your soul. And the more you listen to it, the more you begin to understand that intuition is not a vague feeling or a random impulse. It is the universe speaking from within you in a language that only your deeper self can interpret. Sometimes intuition appears as a subtle "don't go," with no explanation to justify it. Other times it shows up as a sudden urge to act, even when you have no guarantees that things will work out. And yet when you follow it, life aligns with a precision and harmony that logic alone could never produce. This awakening of your intuition doesn't mean everything becomes clear or that uncertainty disappears. Instead, it means everything begins to feel more genuine, more aligned, more real. You no longer seek certainty outside yourself because something within you has quietly begun to trust. Maybe you don't know what's coming next. Maybe you can't predict the following steps. But for the first time in a long while, you feel like you're walking toward where you truly need to be. Not out of fear or pressure, but out of a deep inner certainty that no one else can give you. And that certainty is the prelude to everything that is about to unfold in your life. When you begin to align with your intuition, life aligns with you as well. And that alignment is one of the clearest signs that what's coming is greater, deeper, and far more beautiful than anything you have imagined. It's possible that lately you've been feeling as though many things around you are falling apart. Relationships that once felt warm now feel distant. Projects that seemed promising suddenly stagnate. Doors that were once wide open now appear firmly closed. On the surface, all of this may look like loss, like a streak of bad luck, or like an uncomfortable silence. But it's not. It is a space, a sacred interval that life is creating so it can fill it with something completely different. Carl Jung said that emptiness is the place where the soul breathes. And even though we are not used to feeling empty, sometimes it is exactly in that emptiness where the essential begins to unfold. When everything outside comes to a halt, transformation begins within. These moments of emptiness don't appear by mistake. They arrive because you are growing, because you no longer fit in spaces that once held you, because your energy is asking for something deeper, more aligned, more authentically yours. And even though letting go of what was familiar hurts, the soul always knows that you cannot receive the new if you don't create space for it. That is why life begins to remove things from your path, not as punishment, but because what is coming requires cleaner, clearer, more conscious ground. Sometimes the universe removes what you were clinging to, just to remind you that you can live without it. And even more importantly, that you can live with something far more authentic. It is normal to feel uncertainty, and it is normal for fear to appear, but it is also normal and necessary for you to walk through this stretch with faith. Because if certain pieces of your life seem to be disappearing, it is because something much bigger is taking shape behind the scenes. And when it arrives, when the new finally appears, you will understand that all that silence and all that pause was simply the long breath before manifestation. A long breath, yes, but also a deep one, as deep as the gift that is about to unfold on your path. Suddenly, you no longer want to be everywhere. You no longer feel interested in filling your days with plans or holding empty conversations. It's not that you are becoming cold or distant, it's that your soul is entering a state of purification, a silent process in which you need fewer distractions and more truth. You begin to choose more carefully whom you listen to, what you consume, and where you place your energy. And little by little, something becomes clear. You no longer want what merely shines, you want what vibrates. Carl Jung said that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And in this stage of your life, you are not withdrawing because you reject the world. You are withdrawing because you are illuminating the parts of yourself that you had stopped looking at. That is why you seek silence. That is why you avoid noise. What once attracted you no longer seduces you, because you are vibrating at a different frequency, cleaner, softer, more in tune with who you truly are. It is as if a part of you whispered, "I don't want more distractions. I want presence." And that doesn't mean you're disconnecting from life. It means you're finally connecting to a life that feels real. In that inner retreat, you begin to hear things you had never noticed. Your body, your intuition, your sensitivity, everything becomes sharper, more profound, more honest. And that is where the magic takes place. When you dare to step away from the noise, life begins to reveal the answers you've been seeking all along. Synchronies begin to intensify. The signs become clearer, and everything that once felt distant now starts moving towards you effortlessly, almost as if life itself were gently rearranging its steps to meet you halfway. You are not running away from the world. You are returning to yourself. And from that inner place, what comes next is not only better than anything you ever imagined, but more authentic than anything you have lived so far. It is not that your life has become perfect, or that every loose end has been tied, but something inside you has shifted in a quiet, undeniable way. And now, instead of focusing on what is missing, you begin to notice the beauty of what already exists. You find yourself appreciating the silence of early mornings. You feel grateful for that song that finds you precisely when you need it. You value that sincere conversation, or even that tear that slipped without anyone noticing and somehow released a weight you didn't know you were still carrying. Without realizing it, you have been healing. Carl Jung spoke of the power of integrating the shadow, but he also emphasized the vital act of rediscovering our inner light. Gratitude, when it rises from the soul, becomes one of the purest ways to reconnect with that light. When you are truly grateful, something inside you aligns. You stop demanding so much from life and begin walking with it instead of against it. And it is precisely at that moment, when your heart opens without conditions, that life surprises you, because you are no longer vibrating from scarcity, but from fullness. And what you radiate is exactly what the universe mirrors back to you. That perfect reflection of your inner world responds to your most authentic energy. And when you look at it through the lens of love, it returns that love multiplied. This is why, when you give thanks for the small things, life rushes to show you the bigger ones. That smile you shared without expecting anything, that call you made simply to check on someone, that moment of honesty with yourself that changed your entire direction. Everything adds up. Everything speaks. Everything creates. And right there, in the middle of the ordinary, life begins to reveal its magic, not through spectacle, but through the invisible, the profound, the eternal. That is the sign. When something inside you stops fighting and starts trusting, what arrives is no longer just another repetition of the past. It is another frequency, another story, another life unfolding before you. And yes, it is better than anything you had ever dared to dream. It is not euphoria, nor an overwhelming burst of emotion, nor naive optimism. It is something else entirely. It is a warm stillness, a new kind of peace, a sensation almost impossible to describe, as if a deep part of you has already seen the future and whispers softly, "Hold on, it's already on its way." There are no visible proofs yet, no external confirmations, and yet you feel it with every breath, with every small step you take, and that changes everything. Because now, you stop searching for signs outside and begin recognizing the ones that arise from within. You no longer need the world to validate your path, because an inner force sustains your faith with quiet strength. Jung said, "The soul holds within itself the patterns of the future," and that often, long before something arrives in the physical world, the unconscious has already received it. That is why we sometimes dream of things that haven't yet happened, or feel nostalgia for places, people, or moments we haven't lived. Your soul has already touched that future, and that is why, even in the middle of uncertainty, you sense a strange kind of certainty. It's not about having everything figured out. It's about trusting the direction, even when the map is not yet complete. That trust becomes a silent vibration that connects you with what is coming. And what awaits you when you trust from that inner place cannot be anything but a blessing, because you no longer walk from need, but from purpose. You no longer ask from a place of lack, but from deep worthiness. And when the soul vibrates from that space, life responds with a perfect symphony. People appearing at the right moment, opportunities you weren't looking for, but that feel like they were designed for you, answers arriving in the middle of silence. What you have been waiting for, what your soul has been longing for, that unnamed thing that feels close even though you can't yet see it. It is on its way, and it will be wiser, more beautiful, more meaningful, and more aligned with who you truly are. Now that you feel that soft certainty within you, it's time to understand something essential. Deep transformation is not a sudden event. It is a gradual unfolding that moves at its own rhythm. Every day, every experience, every shift in your perspective is a silent step toward the new reality that is preparing to meet you. There may still be days when doubt knocks at your door, when uncertainty feels louder than faith, but that too is part of the journey. Because within that internal contrast between the old and the new is where your soul shapes itself and grows stronger. Carl Jung taught that the doorway to perception lies within, and that to enter a new world, we must first pass through the shadows of the past, the resistances, the fears, and the beliefs that once kept us small. This is the moment to be patient with yourself, to observe without judgment, and to honor every emotion that rises, because everything plays a role in this journey. Remember, what is coming for you is better than you imagined, not because your external reality will simply change, but because you are being reborn from within. It is a rebirth that invites you to live with more authenticity, more peace, more love for yourself and for others. You may look back and realize that the person you once were no longer fits who you are now. And that is perfectly fine. It is the sign that you are evolving, that your soul is awakening, and that you are ready to receive everything you deserve. So keep moving forward with hope, with faith, and with the profound certainty that the best is arriving. Because what is coming will not just exceed your expectations, it will transform your life in a way only the soul can truly understand. On this path, you will also begin to notice that synchronies increase, as if the universe itself were conspiring in your favor. Those coincidences you once ignored now become loud and clear signals, an unexpected encounter that brings you exactly what you needed, a phrase in a book or a message that appears at the perfect moment, an idea that surfaces in the stillness, as if someone or something were guiding your steps from behind the scenes. This flow of coincidences is not magic or random luck. It is the evidence that you are aligned with your true path. Carl Jung spoke of synchronicity, the meaningful connection between events that lack an apparent causal relationship, but that hold deep personal significance for you. And when these signs begin to appear more frequently, it is not the world that has changed. It is you. Your perception has expanded, your energy has elevated, and your soul is finally attuned to the frequency of the life that belongs to you. When you begin to live in harmony with that current, life becomes less confusing, more fluid, and far more filled with purpose. It's not that difficulties vanish, but you learn to see them as part of the fabric guiding you toward your destiny. Every challenge, every pause, every step forward is a note in the melody of your transformation. And what's remarkable is that the more you trust that flow, the easier it becomes to stay calm in the middle of the storm, because you know everything has meaning, even if you don't fully understand it yet, and it's normal for internal resistance to surface during this process. Sometimes your mind will search for reasons to doubt, to stop you, to convince you that what is familiar, even if imperfect, feels safer. This inner dialogue can feel like a battle, the voice of old security facing the call of change. But remember, this resistance is not an enemy. It is a sign that you are stepping out of your comfort zone. Carl Jung taught us that growth happens precisely in that uncomfortable space where the familiar dissolves to make room for the unknown. That is why, when you feel fear or uncertainty, do not punish yourself or run from those feelings. Invite them to sit with you. Observe them with curiosity, because in that conscious observation lies the key to transcending them. Every time you move through those moments with presence, you become stronger, wiser, and more aligned with yourself. This path is neither linear nor perfect. There will be days when you feel full of light, and others when the shadow seems to cover everything. But all of it is part of the journey. Each step, each fall, each time you rise again, is leading you toward that better reality, deeper and more authentic, that is waiting for you. Trust in your ability to navigate these waters, because within you there is an ancient wisdom sustaining you, a silent strength that will never abandon you. And when you least expect it, you will realize that the better you imagined is already here within you, in every change and every awakening. You will also begin to notice that your perception of time is shifting. You no longer see time as an enemy racing ahead, nor as a chain tying you to a past you cannot change. Instead, you start to experience time as an ally, a sacred space where every moment has its purpose and its gift. This new relationship with time allows you to be more present, more attentive to the subtle signs life offers you. Carl Jung spoke about the importance of the present moment as the doorway to personal realization, because only in the now can you connect with that force pushing you forward, and you will discover that each moment is an opportunity to grow and to love. And finally, you will learn to live from gratitude. You will also begin to uncover a new sense of purpose that is more authentic and profound. Not a purpose imposed by others, nor the ideals that once persuaded you, but that inner call urging you to be more yourself, to live with integrity and meaning. Carl Jung said that finding our purpose is discovering the language of the soul, a truth that transcends words and expectations. This new purpose may not appear grand or spectacular to the world, but it will feel immense to you, because it will be aligned with your essence. And as you connect with it, you will feel a renewed energy, a strength that holds you even on difficult days. It is not a path without obstacles, but it is a path full of meaning. When you live from that place, what comes next no longer depends on chance or luck, but on the coherence between who you are and what you do. This prepares you to receive blessings you did not expect, to open doors that seemed closed, and to create a life that truly resonates with you. What comes then is not just an external improvement. It is a complete transformation that embraces your mind, your heart, and your spirit. And that transformation is undoubtedly far better than anything you once imagined. This process also leads you to build a new relationship with yourself, one based on respect and genuine love. Before, you may have sought approval outside, tried to fit into molds that never belonged to you, and forgot to truly listen to yourself. But now, you begin to discover the strength that appears when you honor who you are, with your light and your shadow, your victories and your mistakes, your dreams and your fears. Carl Jung taught that integrating every part of our being is essential for true healing and growth. When you learn to accept and love yourself deeply, you create an inner space where your authenticity can bloom. From that place, what comes next can only be genuine, because it arises from the most truthful connection you can ever have with yourself. That new relationship you are building with yourself allows you to release toxic patterns, paralyzing doubts, and the endless self-pressure that once held you captive. You begin to stand beside yourself in a way you never did before. You become your greatest ally, the voice that encourages you when exhaustion takes over, and the steady force that keeps you grounded when the path feels difficult. And by embracing this new version of you, you naturally open the doors to receive what is truly meant for you, because now you finally recognize that you deserve the best. As this shift unfolds, everything that comes your way becomes a reflection of that deep self-love, of that inner peace that quietly settles within you, and of the light inside you that grows stronger day after day. In this same process, you will also notice a transformation in the way you relate to others. You will no longer approach people seeking validation, comfort, or the security you once depended on. Instead, you will show up with authenticity, emotional freedom, and a sense of inner wholeness that reshapes every connection. Your relationships begin to change. They become more sincere, more transparent, and more aligned with your true vibration. You naturally gravitate toward people who feel familiar at a soul level, people who resonate with your energy rather than drain it. Carl Jung taught us that real connections are mirrors. They reflect our inner world and inspire us to grow, not shrink. They help us expand rather than keep us locked in a version of ourselves that no longer feels alive. That is why, as you continue evolving, you will witness some relationships dissolving because their purpose has already been fulfilled, while new ones will arrive to nourish your spirit. This transition can feel painful at first. Letting go always does, but it is necessary so that life can place before you the relationships and experiences that match who you are becoming. When your bonds are built on mutual respect, authenticity, and emotional clarity, everything begins to flow more effortlessly. This new kind of connection is one of the clearest signs that what awaits you is far deeper and more meaningful than you ever imagined. It's no longer about simply having company. It's about being aligned with souls who walk beside you in your evolution. And finally, something essential is awakening within you, a profound sense of hope. Not a fleeting or fragile hope, but one rooted in the certainty that life has a purpose for you, and that this purpose is beginning to reveal itself in subtle and powerful ways. Carl Jung often said that hope is the light in the human soul that never goes out, the quiet flame that survives the storms of the psyche. That light is what guides you during moments of darkness, what keeps your faith alive when the road ahead feels uncertain. As you move forward through this inner transformation, that light grows brighter. It invites you to look ahead with courage, openness, and trust. Even if you cannot see every detail of what the future holds, you feel a quiet assurance that each step, every challenge, every breakthrough is leading you exactly where your soul longs to be. This hope becomes the invisible engine of your transformation, connecting you with the promise that what lies ahead is far greater than what you once imagined. So today, allow yourself to embrace that hope. Let it illuminate your path, soften your fears, and prepare you to receive all the good that life has been saving for you. Because what is coming is extraordinary, and you are finally ready to receive it with an open heart and an awakened mind. What awaits you is bigger, more authentic, and more beautiful than anything you have ever pictured for yourself. This isn't just an external change. It is the inner transformation that aligns you with your true essence. Trust the process. Trust your ability to evolve. Trust the deep wisdom that lives within your soul. The universe is aligning every detail so that the best arrives at the perfect moment. Thank you for sharing this journey of awakening and hope with me. Remember, you are not walking this path alone. Every step you take is guiding you closer to the life you deserve. Protect your heart, honor your path, and keep listening to that inner voice that has always known the way. If this message resonated with you, consider sharing it with someone who needs these words today. Subscribe to the channel so we can continue exploring these paths of growth and awakening together. And feel free to leave your thoughts below. Which of these signs are you experiencing right now? Your story may be the light someone else needs as they walk through their own transformation. Remember, what is coming your way is far better than you imagine. Trust the process, because the best is on its way to you. See you in the next one.